All right, you're welcome to the use of Xlookup, right? So we are going to look at the use of Xlookup. So the Xlookup is used when you don't want to use the VLOOKUP for vertical tables or HLOOKUP for horizontal tables, right? So we use the Xlookup to do the job of the V and the H lookup, right? So Xlookup. So let's watch this video quickly.
So, when you need to find things in a table or arrange by row, select a cell.
Alright, you select the cell.
Type equal.
You type your equal sign.
Select the function.
You select your function.
Select another cell to enter the lookup value.
Select another cell that you want to type with the value.
Select the cells you want to find the lookup value.
Okay.
Type a comma.
You type your comma. Please don't forget your comma each and every time.
Cells that contain the data to return.
And lastly, you add the data, right? The range where you want to retrieve the corresponding value from, right?
Now try it out.
Okay.
Sweet. So
now what we are going to do is to first look at how we can replace the Xlookup with the VLOOKUP, right? So we know from the VLOOKUP, we look for values in vertical column. So if I need the corresponding value for apple from quantity from quantity sold, I'll highlight my apple first because that's what I'm looking for. And instead of looking it at the angle of the Xlookup of which we are come to do, this one you highlight your range, right? In this case, I can enter my full range. That's my data source, right? So if I highlight my entire table, because this one will request for table array. So this table array over here is the data source where you want to look for the data. So now remember that the first column that you started highlighting it from the table becomes your first column, your second column, your third column. So the unit column becomes your fourth column. So that's where we are looking for the information. So that is 4. That's index number 4. Now, the force here will give us the exact match or the exact corresponding value for apple from the quantity, right? And it will give us, let me see, this one is giving us an issue here. I'm coming. So Xlookup, VLOOKUP. So this VLOOKUP I need for apple. And okay, I think I can highlight from the apple because this isn't part of the data that I'm retrieving the data from, because I need corresponding value for apple from quantity, right? So I can highlight the table from apple to the quantity, comma. Now the apple becomes our first column because that's where we specified the range from, right? The first column, the second column, and the third column. So this one will be 3. And this one will be false. And now we have 12, right? Now let me explain this. Now this one is 3, not 4, because we are looking for apple, the corresponding value for apple from quantity column, right? So in this case, if we are specifying our table, we will start specifying our table from the apple column, right? So the apple column becomes our first column, the next becomes our second, and the one that continues becomes our third column. That's why we have 3 as column index number over here, right? So now let's use Xlookup over here. Xlookup to do the same thing. So with the Xlookup, we take 6 arguments, right? So Xlookup, we take 6 arguments over here. Let me show you something here quickly. But most often we use 3 of them, right? The other 3 are optional, right? So the other 3 are optional. I'm coming. So if you don't understand anything, you can just come and look at the function. So now it takes the lookup value, right? So let's look at the lookup value. That's the first argument. What are we looking for? we are looking for apple, right? The second one is what is required. If omitted, VLOOKUP returns blank cell. It finds in a lookup array. So in this case, what are we going to look up over here? Now the array or range to search. So now from the apple we are looking for, which range should it search, right? So now we bring our comma. Now we are going to specify a range for our apple, right? So we are going to take the range where the apple is. So we take from the apple to the last column, the last row, right? So instead of highlighting a table for Xlookup, this one we highlight a range, right? So the table range. Now the second one is, where are we looking for the other information? Now we are skipping the unit price because we are not looking for the information from the unit price. We are looking for the information from the quantity column, right? So we highlight the entire quantity range, right? The quantity range. Now what the Xlookup is going to do is like something like this, right? So the Xlookup is going to look into the apple range and the product range where apple is and the quantity range. So it is going to look at the corresponding information for apple. Now here we don't specify either false or true, right? The Xlookup by default knows how to search for the corresponding value, right? So like this, like this, like this. It's like you are matching, right? You are matching something. So let's see. We have 12 over here. So now let's do for Xlookup for pair, right? So Xlookup quickly. Xlookup for pair. So after the pair, what we will do is to highlight the entire range where the pair is, right? The next one is look at the other range where we are looking for the corresponding value, right? So now we need corresponding value for pair from the quantity column. So let's highlight the entire column. So the column will give us the range, right? So now we just close our bracket and enter. So now we have 40 over here. It is true, right? So this is how we use the Xlookup to replace VLOOKUP. So when we come to horizontal lookup, now if we use the Xlookup, now if we need information from for this, remember that the Xlookup, now our columns becomes our rows and our rows becomes our columns, right? So now this one is column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4, remember. And this one becomes our row number 1 to row number, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So how do I search for information from the Xlookup? Using the Xlookup. Now from the order ID, from this order ID, right? From this order ID, I need the quantity for the order ID. So how do I do it? We do the same thing. You select the entire range, right? The entire table where you are looking for your information. So I select my entire table followed by comma. Now with the Xlookup, it functions like the Xlookup. So we are looking for the column index. So with the column index, now the column index is column number 4. Remember that your column becomes your row, right? So your column index is here. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. So from the column number 4, it is going to match. So false, right? Let's match it to false. Right, let's match it to false. And now we have 12 over here, right? So this is the quantity for this order ID. So let's do for another one quickly and see. Now let's look for Xlookup quickly. Xlookup for column order ID 102. No, over here. 102, comma. So after your comma, now let's specify the table, right? Let's specify our table. And from the order ID, what are we looking for? Now we are not looking for the quantity, right? So let's look for the unit price. So the unit price, where is it located? It is located in the third column, right, of our horizontal table. So the third column. So now 3, we match it to false, meaning it is matching exactly, right? Match it to false. And let's see. Let me see. Xlookup. Okay, I think, let me close this so I'll get it correct. Okay, let me get it here. So Xlookup, I'm looking for information from here, and have it here. So no, Xlookup, and the Xlookup, I'm looking for this order ID, and I'm looking for this table, and I'm looking at my third column, and I'm matching my information to false. All right, so now I have it here, right? So I have it here to be what? 18.60, and this is 18.6. That is correct. So if I'm to replace this with the Xlookup, right? If I'm to replace this with the Xlookup, it is going to work this way. So remember the Xlookup, when you pick the information. So now let's look for Xlookup. We are looking for the grapes, right? So we are looking for the quantity sold. So we pick the grapes, and we pick the range where the grapes is, right? Now we pick the range where the grapes is. So it becomes our first range, followed by our second range. Where are we looking for the information? We are looking for the grapes, the corresponding value. No, it's here. So now remember, it's horizontal something. So I'm coming. So the grapes, you could see that it is looking for the corresponding value over here. Meanwhile, we are not looking at it from this angle. We are looking at it from this angle, horizontally, right? Horizontally, from this angle. So now, this is how it is going to be done. So instead of highlighting it in this way, so Xlookup, now we are looking for the grapes, right? So from the grapes, you highlight the column for the grapes, right? So you can either start from here. So you start from here, this entire column, right? Comma. Then where are you matching the information? I'm matching the information from this column, right? So I close it, and now I have 5. So you could see that 5 is corresponding with grapes over here, right? So let's do Xlookup for another one. Xlookup in horizontal table. So now we are looking for apple 8 unit price, right? 8 unit price. So comma. Now you select the entire range for the apple, right? Horizontally, comma, followed by the another range where you are looking for the information, right? From the unit price. So you highlight everything over here to wherever you want to end it. You close it. Now we should get the quantity, the unit price for the apples, right? So $14 over here. Thank you. If you have any issue how to replace Xlookup with Xlookup and VLOOKUP, let me know.